Hello, John Adams here, candidate for the Republican nomination in the 15th Congressional District of Ohio. I'm here in Circleville, which is a county seat of Pickaway County. Let's take a look at Circleville here while we're driving along. The city is most famous for its annual Circleville Pumpkin Show. Manufacturing makes up a large portion of the economy, with DuPont Chemical being their largest plant in Ohio. Now, turning to my campaign, I want to address an issue concerning all 10 Republican candidates for the 15th Congressional District. I believe that the main goal of all other Republican candidates is to win the election in November. None of us would like to see the district flipped to the Democrats. This is where you, the voters, come in. You have an important decision to make on August the 3rd to nominate the best Republican candidate who would win in November. Now, I'm impressed with most of the candidates in the field. Many have already been elected to public service on city councils and in the state legislature. Whoever wins the nomination, I will support them in November. It is a daunting task for you, the voter, to decide who that candidate will be. So please allow me to offer my opinion. There are two candidates who have acquired significant endorsements. One candidate has been endorsed and heavily funded by former Congressman Stiver. The challenge that candidate has, if he is a nominee, is that the election in November will be a referendum on Stiver's record. Stiver's endorsement may help his handpicked candidate win the primary, but my research shows that the independent voters in November will turn away from the former congressman's endorsement, including the huge amounts of special interest money being spent to get that candidate elected. Obviously, Mr. Stiver is using his leftover campaign cash in order to elect a congressman who would be beholden to him and the rest of his special interests, but not to us ordinary folks. So there's a real risk that the Republicans would lose the seat in November if that candidate is the nominee. Thankfully, there are many other qualified candidates available to choose from. Another candidate has been endorsed by former President Trump. Once again, this endorsement creates a challenge if that candidate wins the nomination. That candidate states that he is an outsider, which means that he has never been elected to any public office, never served the people, a novice. He has virtually no experience in the political arena, whereas many others in this contest have a great deal of background in elected public service, including myself. The same holds true with Stiver's candidate, in which President Trump would help his candidate win the primary, but yet lose the Republican seat in November. I want to cite a survey by researchers from Northeastern, Harvard, Northwestern, and Rutgers, stated that support for a candidate endorsed by President Trump would only receive 16% of the independent vote. It is a fact that the independent voters are the block of voters who elect candidates in general elections. If that candidate is a nominee, then the general election will be a referendum on President Trump and his policies, but not about the future of our country. Looking back, not ahead. The Democrats will throw massive amounts of money at President Trump's candidate in order to flip the seat to the Democrats. They would highlight that the candidate is a novice and has never been elected to anything, just another guy trying to buy a congressional seat. As I stated, I will support whoever the nominee will be. I would like to underscore my campaign and why I believe that I am the best candidate to win in November. I have served the public for almost 6 years, being elected 3 times. I am a conservative and adhere to the Republican platform that protects our free market economy, our national security, our armed forces, and our cultural values, all of which is being attacked by the Democrats. I have also pointed out in one of my other videos on my YouTube channel, John Adams for Congress, that I am not for sale. Special interests are the number one reason Americans dislike politics. We, the people, are being left out of the equation in our self-government. And over the years, we have been transformed into a government controlled by very wealthy people, which now constitutes an oligarchy, a government of the few, by the few, and for the few. What I am attempting in my campaign is to prove that an ordinary American citizen can run for political office without selling my soul to special interests or to any individual and win. My approach is a novel idea. It has never been done, as far as I can tell, in American politics. I am using the relatively new social media like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter to get my message directly to the voters. It is extraordinarily inexpensive. I do not need a lot of money. As a matter of fact, I have refused to accept any money from any of my supporters. I don't need it. Now, referring back to the 2 candidates that I spoke about earlier, let me state this. If people would just use a little common sense, they would know that anyone who is spending a fortune to be elected has to be beholden to his donors. If you vote for me, you will get someone who supported Trump's policies, but who has no obligation to Trump and can vote for whatever is good for the people. Friends, I have been saying this throughout my campaign, and I truly believe this, that our campaign is the beginning of the fight to the death for the soul of our nation. On August the 3rd, I would be honored with your vote. Thank you, and may God bless America.